Hey there kiddos, and welcome to your video on point slope inequalities. We've graphed inequalities before. Now we're going to do it using point slope form, which is actually really simple. If you've got point slope form and you have to do an inequality, I think it's probably one of the easiest. So let's get started. Let's remember first of all that point slope form looks like this. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the slope and the x1, y1 are coordinates of your point. And so you have directions here for how to do it to graph the boundary line. To graph your boundary line, you start at the point, the x1, y1, that they will give you in the equation, and then you use the slope to find the rise over the run to make the next point. Then you have to decide if it's going to be a solid line or a dashed line and determine which area to shade. And we put this in your last set of notes. You have this little chart that we drew that said shade up, shade down. I'm just going to try and recreate it real quick. This was solid. Nope. Solid went on the bottom. This was dotted. And this was solid. And so then you had your symbols like this for what to do. And so it wouldn't hurt you to redraw that or to go back to the notes that we took before that already have that chart in there to refer to for steps 3 and 4 for what we need to do. So let's practice. We are only going to end up doing the front side of your notes. The back side's going to stay empty. I'm only going to do 4 examples because I feel like that will be enough to for you to understand. So number 1 and 2, first of all, it says to graph it. Then it says determine which point is a solution. So we're going to graph it, and then there are these points down here, and we have to decide which one is the answer or falls into the shaded region. So my first equation here, I have y minus 1 is greater than or equal to 2 times x minus 4. Well, the first thing I have to do is pull out my point. So I have to do my x1, y1. So my x1 is this number right here, which was 4, and it's positive 4 because of that minus sign in front of it. The equation always says minus that number, so if it said a minus, then it was going to be minus a positive. If it was minus a negative, it would make this a plus sign, if you'll remember. And then my y coordinate is going to be 1. So there's my point. So I got to start at the point 4, 1. So I got to go over to 4 and up 1. There's a point on my line. Now my slope is 2, which is the same thing as saying 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 1 to make the next point on my line. If I wanted to go backwards, I could start at that point and I could go down 2 and to the left 1. I still have points that line up. And so then I need to talk about this is greater than or equal to, so it should be a solid line, and it needs to be, we'll talk about the shading in just a minute. So I have a solid line that passes through these points. Make sure you get the arrows on the ends because it is a line that continues on. So it goes like this. And then I have to talk about which direction to shade. Well, greater than means I have to shade up. So if I start at any of these points that I graphed, up is this direction. So I have to shade everything on this side of my line. So there's my shading, and now I have to do my points. So this 5, negative 5 is over here. 5, negative 5 is way down here. That is not in the shaded region, so that one's not a solution. 0, 0 is right there in the shaded region, so yes, that one is. So let's do another one. Number 2 here, I have y plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 3 parentheses x plus 2. Well, now my point, it's still going to be x1, y1, but because these say plus signs, what that meant is that when I plugged it into my original formula right here, I ended up doing minus a negative number. So it changed it to a plus sign. So my numbers actually become negative 2 for the x coordinate and negative 1 for the y coordinate. If you can't remember the y, what I need you to remember is that whatever sign is here in front of this number, it has to be the opposite in your point. So if it was a minus, it's a positive in the point. If it was a plus, it's a negative in the point. So let's plot our point, negative 2, negative 1, and then our slope is negative 3, which is the same as negative 3 over 1. So I have to go down 3 and over 1. And if I wanted to go backwards, I'd go up 3 and right 1. And that is less than or equal to, which again means I get to have a solid line when I connect my points. Give me just a second. I will move that over so that it is actually on the points. And then remember, it's a line, so we have to make sure we put our arrows on both ends. And then we have to shade. Well, it says it is less than, which means I have to shade below the line, so that's everything this direction. So all of this gets shaded. And so my points, -3 is right here. It looks like that is definitely in the shaded region, so it is a solution. 0, 0 is not. So let's do a couple more real quick. So number 3 here, you have your equation. Y minus 2 is greater than or equal to 1/4 times x plus 1. So our point, first of all, we're going to do x1, y1. So this one becomes -1 because of the plus sign. And this becomes +2 because of the minus sign. So we'll plot our point, -1, 2. And then our slope is already a fraction this time. It's 1/4. So I get to go up 1 and to the right 4. So up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you wanted to go backwards, you go down 1 and left 4. And then connect our points, and I can see from my symbol, which says greater than or equal to, that I'm going to have another solid line. That's been the trend today. Get my line where it's supposed to be. Come on. And don't forget to put the arrows on the ends because it is a line. And then we have to talk shading. Well, it says greater than or equal to, so I have to shade above it, so everything up here gets shaded. And then we check our 2 points to see which one's a solution. So 3, 3, 3, 3 is right here on the line. Well, since my boundary line is solid, then that can be a solution, so it's okay. 0, 0, definitely not on the boundary line or in the shaded region, so there we go. So try one more. I'm going to have you pause the video and actually try and graph it and find the solution, and then come back and check your answer. So hopefully you have done your problem now. You've pulled out your point, 3, 4. They're both positive because they both had a minus sign in front. Your slope is -1/2, and you ended up, it was less than, so it was a dashed line, and then you shade everything below. And the point that is a solution is the 0, 0, because 3, 6 is up here above the line. And so it will not be in the shaded region, so 0, 0 is. So hopefully that's what it looks like when you got finished. If not, make sure you ask some questions when you guys come to class on Tuesday. Enjoy your extra day off tomorrow, and I will see you all on Tuesday.